Welcome to this week's meeting of the Rockland Board of Selectmen, coming to you live on WRPS from the H. Bernard Monahan Memorial Room at Rockland Town Hall. On the agenda, we've got an introduction to the new town website, the housing production plan, and appointments. Now here's the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Ed Kimball.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Would you all please rise and join us for a Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Veterans Agent, Tony Materna.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The audience, participants, and general public should be aware that any and all portions of this open meeting may be recorded by audio and video resources. All or some of this meeting may be rebroadcast periodically by WRPS or other outlets. Persons wanting a DVD copy of this meeting should contact WRPS or the Board of Selectmen's office. A small fee will be charged. With that, we have nothing for open forum. Item number 2 on the agenda, minutes, we're going to pass over. They weren't ready. So we move on to unfinished business. Item number 3, ambulance abatement. Fire Chief Duffy, please.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
How quickly 3 months is going. It seems like it was last week or 2 weeks ago I was up here for this. Once again, I'm up here for the quarterly ambulance abatements. This quarter we are asking to abate $256,498.13. Again, these are just abatements of contractual monies that we would not be able to collect based upon Medicare and other insurances.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? So vote. We have one abstention. Two, sorry.
Actually, 2 abstentions. Thank you.
Okay. If I could indulge myself, and while I have your attention, if I could just remind the public about Adopt a Hydrant program that I know the town administrator has that in his report as well, but the Adopt a Hydrant program that Rockland and Abington are running, we're taking $20 donations. Now that $20 can purchase a hydrant marker for either a hydrant in front of your house or somewhere else in town. It's great, especially for the winter months when the hydrants are covered with snow and we can't see them. The hydrant marker will point us in the direction. And that, if people can just take the time and shovel out their hydrants in the winter, hopefully we won't get much snow, but I have a bad feeling about this winter. So if we keep the hydrants clear, it makes our lives a million times easier.
Are the markers in stock?
They are.
Okay.
We do have some in stock, and I'm going to be working with Mr. Callahan in the Water Department on getting the rest of those up.
So I'll be down to get one. Can I
Oh.
pay for one now?
You can send it to the fire station,
Sure.
or see me later, and
Okay.
we'll take care of it.
I got one right in front of my house.
Yeah, right in front of your house.
I
exactly.
had to pay for that one.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up on the agenda, agenda, item number 4, surplus vehicles. Mr. Chalker.
I apologize, I don't have that list in front of me. Is it in your book?
No.
It is not.
It is not. I'll have it after Eric's. Can you postpone that until
Okay, we'll
after the
postpone that.
website?
So if we do the website.
Yeah,
Next
must
up on
have
the
got-
agenda, item number 5, introduction to the new Town of Rockland website. Mr. Eric Hart.
Hi, board members and general public as well. I don't know if any of you had a chance yet to go check out the website, but it's the same place, address www.rockland-ma.gov, but it's got a facelift. We've contracted with Virtual Town Hall to give us a new website back end on this. In that, you can also, give me a minute here for this to come back up, but if you even go on your phones or any mobile devices, now the new website actually resizes so that it's usable on phones or tablets or anything like that when you're out and about. I know how you're all looking forward to that. In addition, on here, one of the greatest features that I found of this, besides the ease of use for the departments to be able to post any of their agendas, their minutes, or any activity that's going on in town, is a subscribe to news button right here. Once you get into here, if you enter your email and confirm it here, you can set yourself up as a resident or an official to get town alerts, or you can look for just specific news items for different departments. You can be asked to get meeting agendas as well as meeting minutes, and they'd be sent directly to your email. I think that's one of the greatest features that I found out of this new one here. On the front of it here, you've got a banner that runs across with different items that happen to be the current news of the day. You know, we've got our Green Community Competitive Grant here with some information on it, as well as the presidential election is coming up, as well as I believe there's a new institution of early voting this year, and there's some new laws that affect that. Below is the news section here, which gives you all the different items. You can expand it out to everything that happens to be going on in the town that's been posted currently. With the election going on, I know the clerk's office will most likely be adding quite a bit to this once the election is over, but I think they're focusing their efforts mainly on this. All the departments were invited to send their staff to training to do the posting on all of these. So everybody has a general familiarity with it. If there's any additional questions from them, please see myself or Marcy. I would like to thank Marcy and Susan specifically for their amount of time that they've spent on this. Honestly, I pretty much just footed the bill for this. They're the ones, as well as the town clerk, who have really done all the back work on putting this together, and I really want to make sure that they're recognized for that. And I suggest that all of you take a chance to take a look through, buzz around through. If you've got any input on this at all, feel free to email me, and I promise you I'll follow up on it. Do you have any questions?
I don't, does the board?
It looks really good. Like the banner, just the modernization from the last one. I mean, anyone who logged on to the last one, I mean, the first thing you saw was 9 C cuts from FY, I think 2009. So this is really nice. It's modern and it's it's accessible. Like I love the subscribe to email feature too. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
As long as it works.
Here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Looks good.
Pretty
Thank
quick,
you.
I apologize, one mic on.
No, go right, yes.
I apologize that I had to go out and get this. Let me pass that down while I'm talking. But Eric did a lot of research in picking out this particular website. And I believe there, did you mention how many towns are using it?
I don't know how many, but they hold the largest portion of the
You
state.
know, I think it was over 150 communities in Massachusetts are all using the same website. So even if somebody were to move here and check ours out comparing to their own hometown, it would make things a lot easier. And I know Marcy and Sue did an awful lot working with you to make sure we got everybody in and trained. So I want to thank Eric, Marcy, and Sue. And I have my surplus vehicle list.
Would you like to resume?
Sure. I
Item
thought
number
that
4.
presentation would be a little longer. We would encourage everybody to certainly go to the website, check it out. If they have suggestions, please forward them to this office and recommendations. I know we've talked at length with Mr. Mullen about trying to be able to post directly to Facebook and how that would work on different emergencies. There are annual events, whether it's a snow emergency or even if we were going to get a hurricane or some other weather event. Certainly things like no parking, certain time zones, which comes up typically December 1st every year and goes to about April 1st. But just the reminders that once people subscribe, we're hoping that we can get that email blast out to everybody as well. Certainly it'll give us an opportunity, for example, with the Good Community, Good Energy grant that we talked about the other day and going to aggregate energy. It's an opportunity possibly for us to notify a number of more residents so that they could participate or be aware of some of those programs. So,
Or our town meeting?
Yes.
town meeting would be good. We used to have trouble getting 300. I know we dropped it to 150, and I think we even waited 1 year to get to the 150. So if people show up on time, we can get the people's work done. In front of you, Mr. Chairman, item number 4, surplus vehicles from the Highway Department is a Crown Victoria with its number plate, a trailer, M7699, a trailer with no plate that's just at this point beyond repair. He just wants to junk it and we can trash it. And he has a grader that is not, it stays at the dump, but he's ready to declare it surplus so that we can get rid of it.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? It's unanimous vote. Next up on the agenda, item number 6, Housing Production Plan. And Planning Board Chairman, Mr. John Lucas, please.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, the Housing Partnership Committee worked very long in trying to get this done with Mr. Ryan as the chairman of that, and Mr. Lucas as the vice chairman. I certainly want to thank also, in addition to Larry and John, Bill Cormier, Pat Foley, Susan Egan Tasker, Judy Hardigan, and John Rogers, and Ralph Wilmer from the MAPC for their hard work on this. The way the process works, and I'm sure John's going to tell you pretty much the same thing, is the planning board had to then review the recommendations of the Housing Partnership Committee, and he'll give you that report, and then it comes before this board. If this board approves the housing production plan, we forward it to the state for their approval.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Just to give you a little brief history on this, last November, the town of Rockland received a $25,000 grant to develop a housing production plan, or HPP, which is an important tool for the town to access housing needs and manage the development of affordable housing as required by Chapter 40B. Using the grant money, Rockland contracted with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council to develop the HPP. I believe each of you have a copy of the HPP in front of you. If not, we can get them for you. But as you can see, it's a very lengthy document, and you probably don't want to read through it real quick. Basically, it completed the following sections: an executive summary, introduction, a regulatory context, comprehensive housing needs assessment, development constraints, affordable housing goals and strategies, and near the end of it now we have a health and housing plan addendum. And we are one of the only 3 towns in the state to have this in their HPP plan, which is pretty good for this town to have gotten it in there. When the grant was awarded by the Board of Selectmen, also appointed a Housing Partnership Committee, which Alan Chalker just read off the members to work with MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. The committee has worked with the MAPC over the last year, and as chairman of the Planning Board and vice chairman of the Housing Partnership Committee, it's my pleasure to present the Housing Production Plan to the Board of Selectmen for adoption tonight. The Housing Partnership Committee presented the HPP to the Planning Board last Thursday night, the 13th. The Planning Board voted to adopt the plan and to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they also adopt it. If the Board of Selectmen votes tonight to adopt the HPP, it will then be provided to the Commonwealth Department of Housing and Community Development for approval. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I'd like to just say a few things briefly. When we first put this together, most of us are pretty new at it. Alan had some ideas of what was going to happen, and it's quite a learning experience. You know, I thought I knew the town pretty well. I've traveled to every border, around every place, and after you go through all this, you find out where all the houses are, where all the apartments are, where everything is, basically, and it gives you a better understanding of the town. The health benefit portion of this is actually, the state really thought that was a good thing for us to add, and again, we're going to work with Ralph on the next level too, but to bring the things that we found to the town so that we can advance into the future with a good knowledge of what we're doing with our properties, with our land, with all the things that we need to do in life. And quit smoking cigarettes. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's all I have to say. Thank you to the board, to all the people that put the time in, Bill and Marcy. Without Marcy, we'd be floundering a little bit more. And she did a great job at putting it all together for us so that we walk into a meeting, we are well-prepared, well-informed, and so much better off than we would be if we were all trying to work individually. Thank you, Marcy. And thank you, John, for all the work you've done too, both ends.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, there's a couple of things we should be aware of. We're required by the state, and we're susceptible to developers without a housing production plan to a much greater degree. And one of the things, and I think I've been talking about the need for this probably since I've been in Rockland, but sometimes it takes the match to get us going, and we witnessed that when somebody tried to put in too many units up on North Union Street, and it got the town reinvigorated towards what do we have to do. Currently, we're at 6.34%. We need 703 units of affordable housing recognized by the state to reach the state mandated 10%. So we still need about 266 additional units. Now, the units we were talking about, for example, the other night at Park and Howard Street would be 38 units towards our count, even though only 10 of them would be actually, quote unquote, in the affordable margin. The other would be market rate, because 25% of that development would be affordable. So we would get the 38 count. And as we continue to move with that, I have been in touch with the owner of Emerson Shoe Lofts, and they need to work through a few things, and I'm hoping that we might be able to bring that count on. I think it's entirely feasible that the town of Rockland can reach its goals, but once we get the production plan approved by the state, we reduce by half the amount of progress we have to make as a community annually. So the plan will be posted if the board approves it on the website for other people to review, and hopefully we can reach our goals.
That portion's found on page 58 of the report, and then it's brought out for an additional 5 years, which reduces us from the 266 gap to the 120 gap, based on the plan. So there's some benefits to the plan that way. Any other questions from the board or comments?
Oh, I just want to mention that one of the things I liked about the plan, and I was a little bit skeptical of just, the plan at first, just because we don't have a lot of developable land, our options on many things because of that, are pretty limited, but it really did lay out a really comprehensive framework, in a vision into the future to help us understand the evolving demographics and the ages of our residents, and how we really separate from the affordable housing a whole component, how we really begin to plan for that, and and adapt as our town and as its residents are adapting to. So thank you to everyone involved.
Just one quick question, John. I know that in the plan that Hillcrest, that you're working, there's reference in there about working with the people to develop more affordable rentals. Was it ever considered to do anything for the seniors at Leisure Woods? Because I know there's a lot more up in there that may...
We talked about that, but for one reason or other, and I don't remember the exact reason, Leisure Woods does not comply with the...
One of the reasons, excuse me if I may, one of the reasons is that the ownership of the trailers is by the owner, while the land is what they rent or whatever. So you can't tell them you're gonna be affordable housing when 10 years from now they want to sell their house, and they want to get their full market value on it. So it's a little bit difficult to put. I'll let Alan. He knows.
Additionally, the state doesn't recognize the mobile homes or manufactured homes as affordable housing.
Right.
However, the property owners at Hillcrest have indicated a willingness to try and develop a plan that would take care of their people as well, with the possibility of putting an affordable concept. Now, We don't know if that'll come to fruition, but it was late to the party, and actually, I think the suggestion of Judy Hardigan, who was chairman of the Rent Control Board, to see if we couldn't work something out with them to improve both the housing that is at Hillcrest and/or meet some of our needs. So it might be a win-win, which we are trying to explore.
Okay. Do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All those in favor? It's a unanimous vote.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
A lot of work.
Thank you, good job.
Thanks, John. Thank you very much.
Okay, under new business, I
Was that-
believe, is a
was
time,
that-
it was unanimous.
Mr. Welsh and
motion,
Mr.
he
Johnson?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I can't see the clock, but,
7:21.
okay, we have a public hearing for item number 7 for a new wine and malt license for Sam's Food Store, 200 VFW Drive. So you want to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? To vote, okay. Good evening.
Good evening, my name is Philip Barthel. I'm representing C-Store Incorporated, which is going to be doing business as Sam's Food Store at 200 VFW Drive. And we've applied for a wine and malt liquor license for retail. And with me tonight is Mr. Tariq Ahmed, who's the principal of C-Store Incorporated, as well as Elizabeth Rosa. And both are tip certified, and those certifications have been provided to Susan as part of the application package. I did provide appropriate notice to 110 abutters, including all of the Boxbury Lane condominiums. Received several phone calls in support, and just 2 phone calls with regards to just clarification that, this is a convenience store, and that the beer and wine is for purchase to consume off premises, not on premises.
We'll consume it at the rink next month.
As long as it's not at the convenience store, yes. So,
Any questions from the board?
This is for like the new building, right?
yes.
That's all I have.
We did receive ZBA approval for the zoning.
Motion to approve.
Okay, all those in favor?
You cannot, you need to close.
Oh, we
the
have to close the meeting, I'm
hearing.
sorry.
Close the
Make a
hearing.
motion to close the meeting?
I thought that was
Hearing?
what the motion was for.
Well, do we have, before we close it, do we have anybody in the audience who wants to comment? It's a public hearing.
Right.
Anybody in the audience? So we have nobody in the audience. Okay,
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
all those in favor? That's a unanimous vote.
Motion to approve the new wine and malt license at Sam's Food Store at 200 VFW Drive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Welcome.
Great, thank you
Best
very
wishes.
much.
You have a copy.
Makes it a little easier when all the paperwork's in
It
order.
is, yes. Very nice.
She was a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda, item number 8. We have a one-day liquor license request for Trinity Episcopal Church at 3 Goddard Ave, Rockland Memorial Library Foundation. Which one do we have?
I'm Karen Blond, representing Trinity Church,
Okay,
and this is the second year that we've done this wine tasting event. It's been a great success for us. We hold it in the church hall. We bring in a woman named Wendy Coder, who does wine distribution and wine education by trade. We offer 6 different wines with food pairings specific to the wine, so they're small services of about no more than 2 ounces each, but generally 1 to 1.5 ounces. Food accompanying each one. We seat approximately 60 to 80 people in the church hall and serve them. It lasts literally for 3 hours, and we make sure that we schedule it on a Patriots bye week so we get good attendance.
any other questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? So vote.
Have a good time.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you, Council.
Okay.
Also, second one-day liquor request.
That's from Rockland Memorial Library.
Yes, that was the Trinity Episcopal Church looking for a one-day liquor license. Also, one day, it's, as you notice, requests. The Rockland Memorial Library Foundation, I don't know, is anyone here on their behalf? How are you? Can you?
How you doing?
Good evening.
Well, thank you very much for granting this last year. It was our first year having an event, a so-called wine and cheese reception for our supporters. It was very successful, and so we want to do it again this year. This year it'll be very, very similar with hors d'oeuvres and wine and a few little speeches, and we hope to have background music as well this year. So I hope you'll support it.
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank
Enjoy it.
Thank you. Could I get?
Thanks for doing the work.
Your name? Thank you.
Okay, next up, item number 9.
Number 9.
We have a Class 2 license, Rockland Auto Brokers and Service, 250 Webster Street.
I believe they are here.
Okay?
Good evening.
How are you?
Evening.
Frequent office visit.
Hi, my name is Adriano. I'm kind of lost a little bit right now here.
Adriano is trying to open up a Class 2 license at 250 Webster Street called Rockland Auto Brokers and Service. He has been in, he has all of his appropriate approvals, does need a license approval by the board.
And that's a former location of
Someone was there before, and
So it's already been zoned for auto?
yes.
You have no issues with zoning?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Best wishes.
Thank you very much.
Adriano,
Okay.
stop by tomorrow, license will be ready.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the list, item number 10, appointments for the 40R Smart Growth Overlay District Committee.
Mr. Chairman, part of this trying to meet the goals that have, and again, it's the state telling us, and there's not much we can do, of the housing partnership, as well as smart growth here in the town, is to put a 40R or a 40 retail, which would allow some areas of the town to have a retail component in maybe the first or even second floor with apartments above. Using the 40R, there are different grants that become available. We have a grant to look and see if we can, I'm searching for a word, but we want to include the 40R district as a possibility, as an addendum to our own 40B housing plan that you've just approved. This will take a little longer, but we're hoping that everything will be ready for town meeting, and we need a 40R committee. And again, this is typically in your downtown areas. I'd like to recommend tonight that you appoint, and we have their applications in your book, but Mr. Ryan from the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Lucas from the Planning Board, Patricia Foley, who was on the Housing Partnership and is involved with the library, is also a downtown resident. Heather Wendt, who is the branch manager at Rockland Trust. Brian Hughes, who is a ZBA member and a resident here in town. Bob Manzeller, who's the chairman of the zoning board. And John Medlin, who is the owner of Rockland Athletics. I'd also like to include Mike Mullen from the board and John Medlin Jr., I assume, but his son as alternates to that board. Mr. Medlin indicated that he might not be able to make all the meetings, and between the two of them, they feel as though they could both participate and voice concerns. We had reached out to the Rockland Chamber of Commerce as well, looking for downtown residents. And there's two theories to this. Both, if we're able to do it, it could also help increase business, for example, in our downtown area. I know sometimes we're looking at what businesses are going to locate. If we end up with a 40R component, it helps concentrate that population closer to our center, creating a market, a market-rich environment, I guess, hopefully. But I'd like to recommend those 7 and those 2 as alternates.
Motion to approve?
Oh, second, sorry.
All those in favor? To vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for volunteering.
Yeah, thank you for everyone volunteering.
Everybody else.
It's actually pretty interesting in a lot of ways. Some days I feel like I'm watching paint dry, but most of the, again, it's a learning curve, and when you think you'll know everything about your town, you find out quickly that you really don't, and it's very interesting. So hopefully it'll all go smoothly. We'll see.
I thought you were going to say it was like fishing.
Yeah, there you go. It ain't catching, I know that.
Okay, next up on the agenda, we have the town administrator's report and correspondence. Mr. Chalker.
We have quite a bit tonight under the report and correspondence, so please bear with me, Mr. Chairman. The first thing you have before you is a request to establish a teen center revolving fund for the purposes of field trips, concession stands, operational supplies. So I would like to ask the selectmen if they would make a motion to approve the formation of a teen center revolving fund for the purposes of field trips, concession stands, operational supplies, and the use and support of all teen services not to exceed $15,000 in expenditures. This has been vetted by both the Youth Commission and town accountant Eric Hart.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? To vote, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to remind the board and the public that the town of Rockland is pleased to be hosting along the same venue, I guess, as vein as the 40R, a downtown revitalization breakfast on Tuesday, October 25th at the Rockland Senior Center. We're working with the Metropolitan Area Council and the South Shore Coalition, and while this isn't specific to Rockland, there are 13 towns in this South Shore Coalition. It's a regional event with many state and local municipal officials, and it does require pre-registration if anyone wants to contact us. But we're looking at people who are actually involved. It's not just a free meal. This is people who are involved with downtown revitalization, or stakeholders, so to speak, in what we can do to try and attract business, not only in this community, but in any community. And there'll be speakers from the state with recommendations of things we can do. The flyer is attached. So please, board members, if you can make it, we would appreciate it, but it's a general announcement. At the last meeting, we made a plea to the public for people to step up and join the Capital Planning Committee. And that was sent to us from Joe Gambone. Again, we've had no response, but it is still important, and I guess we should just do this until somebody finally says, well, if they can't get anybody, I guess I'll do it. But
I tried the other night, but it hasn't happened yet. But
we do need people, and there's quite a lot involved with all of the buildings in town, whether it's the schools or the McKinley School, the fire station, police station, here at Town Hall, all of the capital planning that we have to do to make some plan going forward. So if anybody has any expertise in construction and maintenance and things of that nature and what we should be doing, we would appreciate it if they would please step up to the plate.
You don't even need that experience.
What's that?
Even if you don't have that experience.
Even if you don't
right.
have it.
Yeah.
We'll teach you, or attempt to. Chief Duffy talked about the adopted hydrant. I always like to tell people that make sure they know where they are and shovel them out. The house they save may be their own. And also to take a look around now while there's no snow on the ground. Where is the drain nearest your house so that you can help prevent flooding? And make sure you keep it clean, especially with a storm coming. If it clogs with leaves, the flooding may go your way. The state, and I'm sure you've seen some ads, but is introducing early voting. Town Clerk Shotall was here, and Donna was talking about this November 8th general election. You can early vote here at Town Hall, Monday through Friday, from October 24th to November 4th. It used to only be absentee ballots. Now you do not need any excuse. You can come in and early vote, and that is starting next Monday. In fact, when is the October 24th? I apologize. It is next Monday through November 4th for early voting. They also have introduced some extended hours. We will be open Monday through Friday, that first week in October, from 6 to 9. There'll be a gap from 4:30 so that they can go to lunch. But Town Hall, Clerk's office, will be open 6 to 9 at night for anybody to vote next week, not this week. They'll also be open from 10 to 2 on Saturday, from 11 to 3 on Sunday the 30th, and finally on Tuesday and Thursday, November 3rd, November 1st through the 3rd, from 6 to 9. Reminder, Town Hall hours, we are open on first and third Tuesdays until 8 o'clock at night if anyone needs to visit any boards. Rockland Friends have asked for me to announce, we just heard, I saw Pam over the weekend, Pam Murphy is looking for the announcement that the annual stroll will be held on November 26th from 4 to 7 p.m. Again, this year, they'd like to use the Selectmen's hearing room as well as Town Hall Plaza. They want everyone to start getting their plans. Pam will come to a meeting, but they did get a question, are we having the stroll this year? Yes, we are. I can't imagine Rockland not having the stroll. Chamber of Commerce would like to host, ask anyone interested in participating in their second annual Pizza Palooza, November 9th. Did you win last year, Mike?
Did I win?
Oh, I know
I
you
won
went.
by eating a lot of
You
pizza,
went.
I
You
guess.
went. I think you went.
I went. Yeah.
Last year they had over 400 residents. The chamber proceeds all of its money to One Rockland, and that is November 9th. Anyone who, any business interested
Weren't you a judge last year?
can come out. Ed, you were a judge?
He was a judge.
I will find out if they need your services again.
I love
Okay.
pizza.
Was it
All-
at,
all
is it
50s
at the middle
accepted.
school again?
What's that?
Is it at the middle school again?
We'll get this flyer into everybody's book. It arrived today, so. Rogers Middle School Gymnasium, they had over 400 who sampled and voted. They expect this year's Palooza will be bigger. And if you contact me, or we'll get you all flyers, Eric Dykeman at the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. We'll put anyone in contact and ask your favorite pizza parlor to participate. And the Friends of the Rockland Memorial Library have asked for the people to visit for the pre-Halloween trek through a mildly haunted woods, which will be suitable for young school-age children. Parents must accompany their children, and the place will be at the George Anderson Town Forest, and that's scheduled for this coming Saturday, October 22nd, from 2 to 4. Come and join them for a howling good time. Any donations will be accepted, and that is for the benefit of the Rockland Memorial Library. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Selectmen's comments. Comments and opinions expressed by the individual members do not necessarily reflect the views of all of the Board of Selectmen, and are the opinions and comments of only the individual member. With that, Mr. Mullen.
I want to first begin by extending my condolences, and I think the town's condolences to the O'Connell family of Rockland. Sean O'Connell was just a true and true Rockland guy who passed away very, very prematurely over the weekend. It did, I want to say, 3 or 4 tours overseas in the Middle East, and was just anyone who knew Sean, or Ears as folks called him, he was just he was just a good Rockland guy and a friend to so many throughout the town, and comes from a good Rockland family. I grew up playing baseball with one of his brothers. His other brother could have stuffed me in a locker when I was in 8th grade at the high school, and he didn't. And he looked out for me when I was probably 5'1" in 8th grade and just scrawny as ever. But yeah, before I bulked up. But seriously though, you know, it's always hard when we lose one of our own. And my thoughts and prayers to the O'Connell family. On a more positive note, I also want to thank the water department over the weekend, and also Bill Cormier. I happened to look out on out of my driveway on Levin Road over the weekend, and I saw a bunch of cop cars up the street, and I was like, geez, it's Wyman Fields, Mike Johnson, and nothing really happens there. And a few minutes later, I saw Bill Cormier's SUV there, and he was checking out the scene, and there was a water main break. And but the time it took the guys from the water department to identify the issue, it was almost like seamless in terms of there being hardly any. So seamless in terms of there hardly being any interruption at all. So Bill, thank you for coming out on a Saturday, and no one, very few people probably know that it's a volunteer role that you have, just doing what we do, and you were there, you were communicating with people, letting people know what was up. So, and thank you and the guys at the water department too. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Mr. Welch?
No comments today.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I thought the water outage in our area was seamless as well. I had two, a hockey player and someone that ran a 5K that morning for the cross-country team. Both had to go to their semi-formal that night, the homecoming dance. So we were kind of in a little bit of a panic about where they were going to shower. Both of them stunk, and they needed the shower. And but looking at not only seeing Bill at the scene, but also your Facebook post helped out. I said, okay, Bill says it's going to get done in a couple hours, and sure enough, it was. And both of them smelled very nice going to their semi-formal or their homecoming. But this Saturday night, there's a fundraiser for the Rockland High School cheerleading team and the Rockland High School hockey team. It's a co-sponsored fundraiser. It's a Halloween party at Players at this Saturday at 8 p.m. There's $20 per person. The proceeds will go to the two sports. There's going to be raffle, food, and best costume contests. I'd encourage people to get out and always support players. They seem to be one of the places that people go to, and they open their doors to a lot of these events. And but also to support both these teams, and I have family members on each of them, so that'd be nice to come out. Project Pumpkin is also the thing that the high school student government council, they do every Halloween. I remember when my kids were little, we would go to this Halloween Project Pumpkin. Now I have kids that are actually involved in setting it up. It's how life comes full circle and on a small scale. But it's a fundraiser that helps the Rockland Food Pantry and the Student Government Council. If you bring a can of food or 2 cans of food, you get in free admission for each. For 2 cans, gets 1 free admission. It's kind of like a haunted hallway they do, and also they do a trick-or-treating throughout the high school. So you bring the kids around to the different classrooms and they get candy. It's from 1 to 4 on Sunday the 30th, October 30th, 1 to 4. Hope to see people there and support the Rockland Food Pantry and the Student Government Council. Thank you.
They used to call that Operation Goblin way back when.
Okay, yeah. I remember going to it and my kids being too timid to go down the hallway. Now now one of them's at least involved in scaring people in that hallway. So.
You stop here first, they can vote.
Yeah, there you go. Right. As long as they vote the right way.
For the left.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Ryan?
Let's see, We had an open house at the fire department recently and an open house at the police department. Both of the events went off really well, and everyone who went seemed to have a good time. Quickly, I want to touch on June Pat. Donald, your dad, Norm McDonald, had a 90th birthday party, which I attended, and we gave a little plaque honoring Normie for being alive for 90 years. And when they brought the family up on the floor, there really wasn't a heck of a lot of room. You couldn't get them all in one picture. They're everywhere, man. I thought I had a big family, but they're right up there with some of the best of them. And on a personal note, you guys out there in Murphy's One and Jeff Reel, they're basketball coaches for our young girls, 5th, 6th grade, and they do a great job and everything. But the finest coach from Rockland history, Matt Ryan, will be guiding his daughter on the floor of the Boston Garden tomorrow night at halftime during the Celtics game. And I just wanted to say that and sort of give the guys that all hang around together and do this basketball thing for their children a little dig that my son made it there. And look for them on the Celtics game if they show any of it at all tomorrow night. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
One more thing I meant to add. Heading out to the St. Lawrence this weekend to share the weekend with my wife. It's our 46th wedding anniversary, and I'd be remiss if I didn't tell my wife that if we can make it 46 more days or years, we'll be doing great. Happy anniversary, honey.
You ready now?
I'm ready.
Just checking.
I watched too many
I don't want you to see a
detective
flounder
shows.
before you go on that fishing trip. I just want to remind everybody that it's starting to get darker earlier, and before we meet again, it will be Halloween, and we used to do Operation Goblin, and we didn't have trick-or-treating in Rockland. All we had was Operation Goblin, but we have trick-or-treating again. We've had it for some time, so please drive carefully. Kids are in dark costumes, and take a second look before you pull out. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We want it to be a festive time. A quick reminder, speaking of the water department, next Tuesday, the 25th, I believe there's a, what's that? Yeah, there's a meeting at 5:30 to look at expanding or reviewing possibly water sources for the Southfield or Union Point area. So I think everybody else pretty much covered everything else we had here tonight.
And I certainly meant to do it, but...
You want to take Larry's spot?
I'm going to take Larry's spot. I forgot something. And while Pat Foley's here, the planters downtown, Pat planted all those this spring, and she made sure we got some mums in them now, and I think they do look good downtown, and that was all volunteer effort, so we want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. And actually, thank you to all the volunteers who volunteer for the committees and boards throughout town. Because without those people, Rockland wouldn't be what it is. And we need more of those people. As was mentioned earlier, we'll look for people for capital improvement committee. And it's another committee that's vital to get the town's business done at the end of the year and for the new year, because they prioritize the needs when we do have free cash that we can utilize it for certain items. That's all I have for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all. Thank you, Dave.